All right, full disclosure, I'm coming off a vacation where my wife and I snorkeled with reef sharks. And that was probably, so I think we got the Max Brosmer experience, being thrown into a situation that's scary as hell and completely beyond your control. Let's get into what happened with Max, what should happen in the future with the Vikings quarterback situation, what should happen the rest of the season, what has happened in this division, which seems completely upside down right now. Let's get into all that here on the Viking Update Show. He's John Krasinski from The Athletic. I'm Jim Suhan from the Star Tribune and TalkNorth.com. This is TalkNorth.com. Best way to listen to this show is to go to TalkNorth.com or to subscribe to your favorite podcast app, or as you can see, watch it on YouTube. We also do the John Krasinski Show on YouTube. That's our basketball show starring John, of course. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio.
This holiday season, bring a little extra magic home with Aquarius Home Services, your authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Enjoy worry-free water that makes every moment shine, sparkling dishes, softer laundry, and refreshing worry-free drinking water. Right now, save up to 25% on a Connecticut whole home water treatment system. Schedule your free water analysis at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius in Connecticut, earning the right to be recommended.
Hey, this is Randy Shaver. Along with Kevin Gorg, we host the show Fantasy Huddle on Talk North. Each week, we're going to break down the matchups for the NFL season and try to give you the best chance to win your fantasy football games each and every week. Join us for Fantasy Huddle on Talk North.
And we're presented to you by OnX Hunt and OnX Fish. We'll tell you more about them and our other sponsors here in a little bit. All right, we got to start with Max. I don't like the fact that he looked that bad. It's really painful. He seems like a good dude. You know, he puts in the work. He showed great composure throughout his career. He's been a productive player at different levels. This is just a reminder how difficult that position is, and what they were asking of him was ridiculous. He played 1 year of major college football, and that year was a good year, but it wasn't like he lit the world up. He only has faced NFL players on defenses in a few times in his life, and let's not count the preseason where those guys don't care. This was just not a fair test, and he isn't ready. And we should have known all those things. I think some of us did know all those things, but the combination of the persistent love of the backup quarterback, especially the unknown backup quarterback, along with the fact that he's a gopher, led a lot of people down the wrong road.
Yeah, like I know you and your wife, you snorkeled and you swam, and you are here, so I know you are alive. Like Max drowned.
Just call me Lucky from now on, yeah.
Max drowned out there in those waters, and it is a reminder, Jim, like as the season has played out and as JJ McCarthy has struggled, you know, a lot of fans, Kevin O'Connell, how can you not go to Max Brosmer? Why are you not playing him? There is a reason these coaches are not playing a lot of these guys, and it's not for spite, and it's not because they're idiots, and it's not because they don't see, you know, what they have. It's because they do see what they have. This like classic Zimmer line, like we see him in practice with Kellen Mond. Like that's just what it is, and it's not a slight on Max Brosmer. No. He has had 1 year of big time college football. He has to be brought along and developed. I mean, maybe down the road something can happen, but certainly in his rookie season, this is just not. He's not ready for anything like this yet, and so it should get people to calm down just a little bit on kind of the carousel that they want at the quarterback position. But I mean, I think the main takeaway is that, you know, I was on this show last week while you're on vacation. We talked with Alec Lewis, and I did not mean to be disrespectful, but I said, I don't know how it can be worse than JJ McCarthy, because McCarthy's been historically bad. And guess what? It was worse than JJ McCarthy, and by quite a bit, actually. And so, you know, it does make it easier to go back to JJ and just say, hey, this is the way we're going to do it. But man, that was about as bleak a picture of Vikings football that we have seen in a very, very long time in that game. Just all in all, but certainly offensively and the ineptitude that was on display from the very first possession.
Yes, it was horrible. Of course, they had offensive line injuries. You could tell that Brosmer felt like he had to get the ball to to Jefferson, and he threw it to Jefferson when Jefferson wasn't necessarily open. Jefferson, and let's get into this. We'll come back to Brosmer later because I think this is a really interesting development. What we know about Justin Jefferson is he's been a very good teammate. He's been a good member of the organization. He's been, I don't necessarily like calling football players soldiers, but the phrase good soldier is the phrase that applies most often in this industry. He's been a good he's been ideal for, at a position where so many of the players eventually are seen or at least perceived to be divas. He has been an anti-diva. He has played with pretty good quarterbacks, bad quarterbacks, good situations, bad situations. He's been productive throughout. He's been basically a good guy throughout. Mm-hmm. The way it works, and this is the opposite of what you and I dealt with when we first became beat writers, when we kind of walked in the locker room, talked to people one-on-one, and everything is very casual. A lot of people cover these NFL games. Mm-hmm. So the PR staffs are obligated to make sure that when Justin Jefferson talks to the media, that there's a place and a time for that where everybody can get their camera set up. It's not a casual thing. It's a prescribed thing. NFL stars like Justin Jefferson talk at least twice a week, once during the middle of the week, again, in front of a backdrop, and then after the game. Justin Jefferson's never ducked out on any of those things when he's been healthy and playing. He talks after every game in which he has played. He didn't talk after this game. And I'm not bringing that up because I'm as a complaint. It's not a complaint. It's just an interesting development, because I think when somebody always talks and then suddenly doesn't talk in that kind of situation, what they're saying is, I better not talk, or I'm going to say something I'm going to regret or everybody else is going to regret.
100%, Jim. And I read it the same way in terms of Justin Jefferson has been so good with the media, so upstanding throughout his career in good times and in bad times, that if there is one time for him not to talk, I'm not going to be complaining about it. I'm not going to be saying, oh, he should do this and woe is us, he's not talking. Because I think, Jim, him not talking was him talking.
Exactly.
In terms of he is making a statement in his silence that he is reaching a breaking point in this whole thing. And I do not blame him for that with the way that this season has played out. Certainly having, a career low and being just not able to even get his hands on the football for most of the game. There's no matter how badly things have gone in Justin Jefferson's tenure here, and there have been some difficult times, he has always been able to get his hands on the ball. He is always, up around 90, 100 yards receiving, and he is involved and he's battling and he's doing everything he can. I think that the most concerning part about the game in Seattle is that he was not involved. He was not able to do anything. And then for him to walk out of the locker room says that you have a very frustrated face of the franchise on your hands. And so how they go about repairing that relationship, figuring things out when there is no light at the end of the tunnel right now, it doesn't seem like, at least for the immediate future, this is going to get a little bit dicier, I think, as we go along for the rest of this season.
I have covered receivers who were considered to be divas.
You have?
I have.
Who?
Believe it or not.
Come on.
So
not in this organization.
I came to town and Anthony Carter had that reputation a bit. Now, I think it was overblown in his case. I mean, he'd get frustrated, but I thought he was a good teammate. I thought he always played hard. I think it was just the nature of the position. You see some receivers frustrated sometimes. You can call him a diva. Chris Carter and Randy Moss, I think, taught me a lot about diva receivers. I'm not even poking fun at them or giving them a hard time. What I found most interesting about Carter and Moss is that I didn't find that they complained when they weren't getting the ball, unless them not getting the ball contributed to losing. In other words,
Mm-hmm.
if Randy Moss or Chris Carter had a mediocre or bad offensive game, didn't have many targets, many catches, whatever, and the team won, they might have been frustrated, but they didn't really air it publicly, at least as far as at least most of the time, or at least as I can remember. And I was covering all those games. It was when they didn't think they were used properly in a loss. That's when they were frustrated visibly and ready to pop. And I think that's where Jefferson is now. He's like, this team it's a terrible season. Might be the most disappointing team in the NFL. Things are going south, and you're not even getting me the ball enough that I can help out.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think that I remember, with Carter and Moss, I was at the kind of more of the back end of their stays here. But certainly was in the middle of a lot of those things and got to experience them both as like a college kid, who got to string for a little bit and then started writing more full time about them. But there's two things there. One is they would complain because they knew they were physically talented enough to change games.
Yep.
And if that opportunity was not given to them and it wasn't working out, then there's going to be hell to pay. Like there's just no question about it. On the sideline, in the locker room, in the meeting room, you were going to hear about it from those guys because they were that confident in their abilities and they'd shown that. Now, here's where the difference is that I see with Justin Jefferson and those two right now. At least for the vast majority of Chris Carter and Randy Moss's stays in Minnesota, at least, Moss's first one especially, they had really good quarterbacks that were out there. And they may have come in different circumstances. Randall Cunningham coming out of nowhere, but he was amazing that year. Then you had Dante Culpepper, Brad Johnson, Jeff George, like guys who could sling it and get them the ball and make things happen and give them the confidence game in and game out that they were going to be involved, that they were going to have opportunities to make big plays. I think that Justin Jefferson now might be getting to the point of, am I ever going to have a really good quarterback in this organization? Kirk Cousins was okay. But then it's been Wentz, it's been Brosmer, it's been McCarthy, it's been, all sorts of guys that have come in and out of this lineup, and none of them have been very good at all. And so, it's not even, I don't even know that it's just this season and what is playing out right in front of us now. It is, I have been here for a dang long time, and I don't have Dante Culpepper. I don't have Joe Burrow. I don't have, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, all of these guys. I have guys that are not mediocre. I have guys that are less than mediocre. I have guys that are bad quarterbacks that I'm here struggling with. And now I'm going out here and getting, one catch, and not being targeted and not being involved in it. Where is my future here? I think that's the most dangerous thing right now for the Vikings with Justin Jefferson is that it has been kind of years backed up on years of him going out there and doing the best he can and putting up great numbers despite the quarterback. And now there is not a sign that the future of that position is going to be solidified, at least not yet.
A lot more meat on that bone to get to. I do want to tell you about Onyx Fish. It's time to get your auger and go out and find your next best bite. The Fish app offers the most comprehensive fishing tool for increasing your success. Use the Fish app, find new places to fish, and sort lakes by species, abundance, trophy, and keeper potential. Onyx Fish also shows you hot spots, lake by lake regulations, and private and public land ownership information. Download Onyx Fish on the App Store or go to onyxmaps.com/fish to get more information about the app that is changing the game. Also want to tell you about Twill and the Edina Galleria. My wife and I did just go on a vacation to the Caribbean, and I was reminded that my favorite dress pants are Brax that I bought at Twill. My favorite pullovers like this one are Peter Millar or Johnny O. My favorite golf shirts are Peter Millar or Johnny O. My favorite belt, my favorite casual shoes, my favorite dress shoes, my favorite socks, my favorite sports jackets, my favorite suits, my favorite dress shirts. my favorite t-shirts. I got them all at Twill. Twill in the Edina Galleria, the best men's clothing store in Minnesota. TwillMN.com is the website. Check it out. Sign up for notifications. They'll let you know when they have a sale. But just go to the Edina Galleria. This is a great time of the year to go to the Edina Galleria where it's warm. There are places to eat. There's a bookstore to browse. And check in at Twill. Tell them we sent you. You'll enjoy the experience and you'll get out of the cold. So I think what you hit on is exactly right here. Justin Jefferson has been very professional whenever there's been a modicum of hope. Mm-hmm. And, Sam Darnold might not be the greatest quarterback in the world, but he can get you the ball. Kirk Cousins might not be the greatest quarterback in the world. He can get you the ball. These guys can't get Justin Jefferson the ball. They can't do it. Mm-hmm. And Brosmer, had no chance of doing it. And now Justin Jefferson basically is in the same place as the diehard, long-suffering Vikings fan. You're looking at it and saying, at best, this is a long, slow process of developing McCarthy, or you're going out in the free agent market and trying to get another stopgap. And guess who the stopgaps would be? Mm-hmm. About the only two people who probably are going to be available that you would want, and I use want in quotation marks, Daniel Jones, mm-hmm. who's not playing very well right now, is also banged up, and Mac Jones, who you probably have to trade for. Mm-hmm. Those guys might be more comforting options than J.J. McCarthy, but I don't think they're more comforting enough, awkward phrasing, to cause the Vikings to move off J.J. McCarthy. I think we're looking at a long, slow tutorial for J.J. McCarthy, and that's what Justin Jefferson has to decide he's okay with.
Right. And this is not even to say that they should punt on McCarthy
I'm not
right
saying
now.
They should.
Right. I think that the process of developing a young franchise quarterback is to let him go out there and play and develop. Look at what Bryce Young is going through. He started to show some nice things this year. Sam Darnold, has that, struggled early and now is coming around. Like there's Baker Mayfield. There's plenty of guys who have gone out there and not lit the world on fire early on and then emerged as good quarterbacks. And maybe McCarthy isn't that good. We'll see. But I think to make a fair evaluation of his abilities as a quarterback, it's going to take more than these last 5 or 6 games. It's going to take into next season. It's going to take giving him the time and you just really investing in him as much as possible, and maybe even continue to try to upgrade the offensive line and all of these things. And you just wonder if Justin Jefferson has that time, because there certainly was a scenario, and maybe there still is, though it seems unlikely, that J.J. McCarthy was going to be one of those Drake May types, one of those Jaden Daniels types who just gets it right away and at least plays well enough to make you competitive early. Well, that's not on the table right now. At least it doesn't seem that way. And so the alternative that now is then to really just continue to stay the course, let him go and let him learn and make mistakes and figure it out. But you're going to lose games while that happens. And does J.J. McCarthy have that patience? Does the Will family have that patience? That is what's really going to be tested here, not just in the last month of the season, but going into the offseason and presumably into next season.
I don't doubt McCarthy's patience or mental toughness.
No,
I think he has problems mechanically. I think he's just not as polished as that you would have hoped he would be. He has a lot to learn. We have the good thing here, and it's hard to say after they get destroyed in Seattle and the season's over, but the good thing is we have seen J.J. McCarthy show guts, clutch play, athletic ability, and arm strength. Mm-hmm. He's got to fix his feet. He's got to fix his ability to read defenses. He's got to learn to throw with varying speeds and trajectories instead of always gunning the ball in. But we've seen him lead comebacks. And now that, honestly, that first week comeback at Soldier Field looks even better because the Bears are good. And he did it in Detroit, when and probably the biggest game of the year for him personally. We've seen him win games. We've seen him lead dramatic comebacks. We've seen him do good things. And now that we're kind of entering the meaningless game phase of the season. This is the perfect time to get him right, to get, or at least start moving in the right direction. So because here's the other thing. They didn't know what was wrong with them in the offseason because a lot of the flaws that show up under pressure don't show up when you're working out in July or in August or whatever. Now they know to work on, so I'm really interested to see what JJ McCarthy's going to be like next year. And I will get to my pet peeve about the talking heads on ESPN and everywhere else. We will hear in consecutive segments. Number one segment, look at all these quarterbacks who are thriving, who just were in a bad situation, were given up on too early. And then, the Vikings should get rid of JJ McCarthy. I mean,
right.
No, you're right. Bryce Young, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, the way he's playing now, Daniel Jones, the way he was playing before he got hurt. Those are the reasons you don't give up on JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other reason to not give up on him is Kevin O'Connell is very much on the record that organizations fail quarterbacks more than quarterbacks fail organizations. That's what he believes in. And I do believe that he, in particular, the head coach, the quarterback whisperer, is being challenged more now than he ever has in his life as a coach. I don't think he knows what to do with either of these guys. And I don't think he has a good feel for developing a game plan that will help them. Maybe right now, neither one of them are capable of doing much of anything. But if Kevin O'Connell is going to live by the credo that he has put out over and over again, then it is time. He is going to have to just dig deeper with JJ McCarthy and really just keep investing, keep tweaking the game plans, keep working on his mechanics in the offseason, doing all those things, because he really does believe in himself as a developer of quarterbacks. He believes in himself as an offensive mind. And so it would be uncharacteristic of him to say, all right, I've had enough of this guy. We got to move on. I do believe that, like you said, McCarthy has shown enough glimmers in certain situations, and maybe we'll see more of those glimmers down the stretch. But I do think also what we can say is that this mountain that the Vikings are climbing is a lot steeper than anyone anticipated when the season began. And it is going to be a lot harder, and it might even have some casualties along the way with it. So we'll have to see about that. But this is a very difficult time for the organization, and how they handle this last month and how they handle the off season is going to make the difference of whether this is a shorter term rebuild or a longer term rebuild that is going to even maybe test Justin Jefferson's patience of staying here for the long haul.
Well, you just used a word that I was about to use, so let's get to that word here in a second. We do want to hear from the Minnesota State Lottery.
She's Jen, the ultimate Vikings fan.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the Vikings Jan Show Fan Show. My special guest today is Jared Allen. So, Jared, who you got for the Vikings game this week?
Minnesota Vikings.
Me too. So that's our show. We'd like to thank our sponsor, the Minnesota Lottery, who reminds you this could be your year. Play the new
Vikings
Scratch Game for a shot at $100,000, game tickets, and more. Minnesota Lottery. I'm in. Must be 18 or older to play.
And here's Talk North star Michael Russo, one of our many stars. We've got Mark Rosen, Don Mitchell, Randy Shaver, Kevin Gorg, Michael Russo, Anthony LaPanta, Roy Smalley, Lavelli Neal III, John Krasinski. The list goes on and on. We've got great people. Check them all out at talknorth.com. Here's Michael Russo for Clamshell Beach Resorts.
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
So you use the word rebuild. I mean, This is an old team that has underperformed this year. The secondary took a big step backward. The interior defensive line was supposed to be a major upgrade, was actually not as good. And the key, real playmakers on the defense, Cashman, Van Ginkel, and Grenard, have all been beat up physically at different times during their stay here. It ain't looking good. The offensive line continues to deal with physical setbacks. I think we all think the receiver room is good enough if there's a good quarterback there, but it's hard to test that theory. Hawkinson has not been the downfield playmaker. You think you need him to be. Again, part of that is quarterback play. I think the running backs are good enough, but Kevin O'Connell really doesn't want to use them. So, I mean, this is a little scary. And honestly, the only good thing about everything I just said is maybe that all dovetails with slowly building a young quarterback and building the right pieces around him.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at it, it's right now you want to ask yourself, like, what do the Vikings do well? And I've been particularly hard on the defense the last couple of weeks. I thought they played really well against Seattle. I think they did make a couple of big plays to try and position the Vikings to capitalize, and they just were completely incapable of doing it. But that said, it is a starless defense. Grenard, I think, is the closest thing to a star. I actually liked what I saw from Dallas Turner yesterday a bit. Maybe he's coming on, but certainly he hasn't done enough yet to make you think, okay, we have a tentpole guy. Everyone else are just guys. Like they're nice players. Van Ginkel is good. You're right. But like he's hurt all the time. Blake Cashman is a good player. He's not an all-pro type of a player. And I think Grenard's the closest to an all-pro, and then everything else is just, it is what it is. So I do think that they are approaching that rebuild territory because the offensive line has not done what you thought it was going to do when you invested the money that you did. Who knows what's going on with Christian Darrisaw and how that's all going to play out over the long term as well. And the receiver core, while solid, keeps dropping passes. Like they just keep doing that. And so the problem though, Jim, is like, let's even just say that, which I don't expect, but let's just say at the end of the season, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell just like, hey, look, this is going to take a more of a tear down and rebuild. Let's get younger. Let's do it that way. They have flailed so badly in the draft that makes it very difficult to launch that kind of a path because you have done almost nothing to show that you can evaluate talent in the draft and hit on players, not just in the first round, but second, third, fourth round, fifth round that you need to do to expedite a rebuild. And so that's a daunting proposition when your front office and scouting staff is continually missing on draft picks and not landing difference makers. And so if they do go about this that way and decide that's the way they have to go, with the Bears coming up, with Detroit where they're at, with Green Bay and all that, the Wilf family is probably going to have some very tough questions to ask of these guys and have some decisions to make about, okay, if we're launching into this rebuild, which for the entirety of our ownership group, we have avoided that word. We do not want to do that. We want to be competitive. If they make that decision, then you got to ask if you have the right people in place to execute that kind of a game plan, even if what is looking more and more like that might be the wisest way to go. You gotta decide on, are you going to let Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah be the guy who takes you down that road?
Yeah. And I just don't know what case you make for him. You know, he had the one great year of veteran free agency. Some of the trades we gave him that looked good in the moment. You know, now you look at Hawkinson, and the Lions were happy to trade him, and they replaced him with a guy who's better than he is. You know, because they drafted well. They, you know, the Thielen deal, I understand why they did it. The urgency of the moment, not a good deal. You know, they've traded away draft choices. The draft choices they've kept have not played well. I mean, it really feels like this franchise is going to go one way or another. And this is oversimplifying it, but based on whether McCarthy and Turner are players. You know, if both those guys end up being stars, you got a lot to work with. You can build around those guys. If they end up not being stars, then you're in trouble.
Right. And yes, that's the key is those two. And like you said, Dallas Turner made a couple plays against Seattle. He is coming on a little bit, so we'll see about that. But getting those stars is clearly the most important thing, and they can change the perception of a franchise very quickly. I still think, though, in the NFL, with the roster sizes the way that they are, you have to turn a 4th-round draft pick into a good starter on your team. You have to hit a 5th-round guy that can be a nickel cornerback for you and play a lot of snaps. You have to find a guy in the 3rd round that becomes a star that you didn't think was going to be, or at least a high-level player. And depth is so important, you know, on these rosters. And so replenishing that depth year over year, rather than needing to splash all sorts of money in free agency, is just crucial to the team building aspect of things. And so, maybe in a couple of years, we'll look back on this as just like the very most difficult parts of the beginning stages of the JJ McCarthy, Dallas Turner era. And we'll look back and we'll say, hey man, do you remember how tough that was? And now look at these guys, they're dominating. But now because they have been so, inept with churning out high quality talent from rounds like 2 through 7, like those two guys like have to be stars now. Like that is the only way forward to try and like replenish some of the value, some of the reputation from those drafts. And because everything else is just fallen flat. And so that's just a lot to put on 2 guys. And so we'll see. Maybe it does play out over the long haul. Maybe it's going to be great, but man, they both have a long way to go to get to that point.
They do. All right, let's get a final thought from John. I'll offer a final thought as well. Once again, thank you for listening or watching TalkNorth.com. We do appreciate it. We also have Alec Lewis's show. We also have Jeff Diamond, the former Viking general manager, on the network. And if you like fantasy football, Randy Shaver and Kevin Gorg do the Fantasy Huddle. They do a great job with that. I think Randy Shaver plays in like 40. I play in 2 fantasy leagues because I'm kind of obligated to. Randy does 40 because he likes it. I don't understand, but he is an expert. He is into all this stuff. Check it all out. We do appreciate it. Check out talknorth.com. Thanks again to our sponsors. Thanks to everyone who listens or watches. We do appreciate it. And John, give us a final thought.
Yeah, I guess my final thought is like, I am starting to get worried about Jordan Addison. You know, that was one of the good Kwesi draft picks. And this is not even about the off the field stuff. This is about on the field. And he is consistently dropping passes for quarterbacks who cannot afford to have passes dropped when they put them on you. And so if he is going to play this way and going to fail his quarterbacks that way, you know, it does call into question what his long-term future is here and how much you invest in keeping him around. And so I think one of the things over this last month to look at is there a way to get the old Jordan Addison back, because he may be frustrated with the level of quarterback play and all that, but he's still got to make those catches when the ball comes to him, and he's not doing that enough. And so that this last month is a big one for him, I think, in his future here in Minnesota as well.
It is. And I guess my final thought, just to get away from the quarterback position and Justin Jefferson briefly, is I think this is going to be a key time to evaluate offensive linemen, both how well they play and what's the realistic possibility of each of them staying healthy in the future. It's a brutal business. I hate to talk about it this way, but if you can't stay on the field, you can't get paid. And they have a lot of money invested in what should be a very good offensive line. They've not been able to keep it together. Like you said, as you alluded to, there's some mystery going on with Christian Darrisaw. Maybe it's Occam's razor. Maybe it's just he's hurt, period. He plays when he can physically do it. He doesn't play when he doesn't want to. But there's been enough smoke around him all year that you wonder if there's something else going on. Brian O'Neill is a very good player. He gets banged up sometimes, but so does everybody. But Ryan Kelly's concussions, it just, that unit has to be better, especially while you're developing a quarterback. And I don't know if I feel really optimistic about them being better next year.
And Jim, like the salary cap situation for this team, they're going to have to restructure Christian Darrisaw's contract. Is that going to be a straightforward, very easy negotiation? Yeah, no problem. We got this.
I don't think so.
There's nothing that has indicated that the player and the organization are on the same page so far. So that's really something to watch as they go into a perilous offseason. That's going to take a lot of homework to get their books in order. And if you're not on the same page with your star left tackle, that process might be a little bit more complicated than it might have to be.
Oof. That was a very good point. Good point to end on. Sad point to end on for Vikings fans, but that's where this team is right now. Hey, thank you for listening or watching. We do appreciate it. Check out the John Krasinski Show, both audio and on YouTube. Great stuff on maybe the most interesting team in town right now, the Timberwolves. Check out Russo's show. Check out everything else. We do appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.